So this is a topic I've been thinking about for the past few days. What if Togata, aka Vault Boy, got One for All? And the reason why I'm making this video is because it's very apparent from the latest chapters of Boku no Hero Academia that One for All was supposed to go to Togata instead of Izuku. But the only reason why Izuku received it is because Izuku met All Might first. So when we look at all of this, okay, let's just do a speculation. What if Togata did receive One for All instead of Izuku? How powerful would this man be? And as we know, when it comes to One for All, the quirk ability can be passed on to others. And also, if you already have a quirk ability, obviously you could still use that quirk ability while still using One for All. So that would mean that the quirk ability we see taking place in the latest chapter of Boku no Hero Academia, with him being able to phase through things, that would still be there alongside of the immense strength of One for All that we see from All Might. So how strong would this man be? Well, I've been reading chapters, like many chapters ago, around the time when All Might was fighting All for One. For instance, you know, that big-ass fight with All for One and All Might when they were going at each other, you just saw the immense strength between these two characters. I went back just to see the strength of All Might. I went back to some chapters with Izuku and how powerful he is, and I also went back and looked at, once again, the latest chapter of Boku no Hero Academia to see just how powerful Togata is, aka Vault Boy, and what would happen if this man had the quirk ability of All Might. So let's just talk about the speed of what Togata did in the latest chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. As we know, at the end of the chapter, Togata, he wanted to take out all the range types first. That was his first objective when he was fighting all of A class. He was going after them, and he was taking out all of the range. He was phasing through everything, and he wiped them all out. And we had a timer at the end of the chapter. Now, many have been speculating what this timer really represents. Does it represent 5 minutes, or does it represent 5 seconds? And the reason why there's many discussing what time this is because you gotta factor in what he did in that time frame, and also the character's reactions to everything, to also emphasize that this man is the closest to being the #1 hero, even amongst the pro heroes. And if you look at the end of the latest chapter with the 5 seconds, you see characters like Izuku, they're trying to turn around and look at what the hell was going on, and the time frame of them turning around to look at what the hell was going on, everybody was on the ground behind them. All the range type characters were on the ground. So it makes many speculate that it's not actually 5 minutes, but actually 5 seconds. And that is what I'm assuming. Now, let's just go on a limb here and say that it is 5 minutes, okay? Let's just assume that Togata was going, you know, average speed, and it wasn't that fast. He wasn't kicking all their asses in 5 seconds, and it took him 5 minutes to wipe all of them out, okay? Let's just go on a limb and assume that is the time he wiped them out. Now, let's throw in One for All, okay? Let's throw in that quirk ability for a second. If we go back to the beginning fight with All for One versus One for All, we know that All Might, when he was initiating his fight against All for One, he got attacked by Nomus. A bunch of Nomus came in, started attacking him, and a bunch of other heroes were getting attacked by them as well. And in this time frame, he wiped out all the Nomus using Oklahoma Smash, and once they were all wiped out, he had a convo with Endeavor, and once all that was done, he leaped from his location to 5 kilometers away and got to All for One's position and slammed straight into him with brute force. It wasn't just jumping down of it and going at the man. No, he came from 5 kilometers away in a matter of 30 seconds of when the Nomu started attacking All Might and smashed right into All for One, and All for One grabbed his fist and just pretty much greeted the man. So let's factor in this speed real quick, okay? 5 kilometers in 30 seconds. That is fucking ridiculous. But we have to factor in this too, of what All for One said in that combo. And I even mentioned this in my chapter review a while back. You can go to my chapter 90 review if you're kind of curious. I cover it there. On chapter 90 of Boku no Hero Academia, it is stated from All for One that it took you 30 seconds once I sent the Nomus to attack you to finally arrive to me. You're a little bit slow, ain't you, All Might? That's what All for One says. Straight to All Might. You're a little bit slow, aren't you? Took you 30 seconds to get here. 5 kilometers away. That's fucking slow. Like, okay, hear me out. We know All Might isn't in his prime. We know he has weakened considerably at the time of that chapter, in chapter 90. However, taking 30 seconds to go 5 kilometers, and that's slow in All For One's eyes? Like, that's slow for All Might? Holy fuck. Now, once again, I want to factor something into this 30 seconds, okay? Let's just say the time it took All Might to wipe out all of the Nomus and then have a convo with Endeavor and the other heroes, that took 10 seconds out of the 30 seconds. So that would mean in 20 seconds, All Might reached point A to point B where All For One is and slammed straight into him with his fist. There was just no stop. He slammed right into this man with his fist. So like I said, let's not count the 30 seconds, the entirety of it. Let's count just 20 seconds because we got to factor in the combo he had with Endeavor and the time the Nomus attacked and how long it took All Might to take them out. Now, once again, I want to say, this is not All Might's prime, so this isn't the pinnacle of his strength. If he was probably in his prime, he probably could have been to maybe All For One in 5 to 10 seconds, completely finished everything. He might not even needed to talk to Endeavor at all. He probably could have just rushed over there real quick and he could have been just GG right then and there. So, when you factor this power onto someone like Togata, that took maybe 5 minutes or even 5 seconds to wipe all of A1 out, that's pretty fucking scary. Just think about this, right? Let's say it took 5 minutes for Togata to wipe out the ranged characters, the ranged, part of the class. And he wiped them out in 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes it took him. You factor in All Might's power now on top of him, and All Might was that ridiculous. Imagine how fast this man's going to be with that 5 minutes. It's going to be definitely cut down to maybe 30 to 10 seconds right then and there. Easily, just because of that power. Now, let's factor this once again in. Let's say the man did defeat all of A1 in 5 seconds. What happens when we factor in All Might's power, his quirk ability, on him now? That just probably blew your fucking mind. Like, holy shit. If he really did wipe them out in 5 seconds, all the range, and when we add in how fast All Might is with his power, we can't even begin to imagine how ridiculous this man would be. Now, like I said, if it was 5 minutes, I'm going to give it a handicap and say it was 5 minutes, automatically, that makes this man very dangerous. He could probably go down to maybe 5 seconds now, or even 30 seconds, and you know what, no, let's just give leeway, let's say a minute, okay? Let's say he could push him down to a minute, okay? And it wasn't, 5 minutes, it's a minute now, and it's not in seconds. It takes him a minute to wipe out all of the range. Still, this is a man that has One For All. And this quirk ability, at the time, I highly doubt Togata could be able to fully utilize the quirk ability. His body probably can't take all of the stress of the ability because of how much power it is. And we do know, from what we've seen in the last chapter, Togata does have a very built body. His body is built. Like, he has the muscles, he has all of that abs, this man is built. Like, this man, if he was given One For All, he most likely would be able to be a step further than Izuku ever was when he first started, just because of how his body seems so built. So when you factor his body in, how he's trained his body, and you throw that power on top of it, how he could definitely utilize One For All because of the way his body's been trained, then this man could become an absolute monster. I mean, when someone can phase through things and nothing can affect this man, nothing at all, and you could straight up get, dodge everything, maybe not mental attacks, but dodge everything, that's insane. But then you factor in the speed of All Might and the power and just punching someone, how he can get to them in maybe a matter of seconds. Yeah. Now, I also want to state another thing, too. One other thing we do know, and what many are speculating right now about Togata's character and his quirk ability, is that he has to hold his breath to be able to activate his ability. Every time in the latest chapter that he was, phasing through stuff, his mouth was closed, like, his mouth was completely closed, but when, he started talking, it seemed like he was able to attack. And so many are speculating that he has to hold his breath to be able to use his quirk ability. And even so, let's just say he has that, and that is a handicap to his quirk ability. That won't matter in the grand scheme of things if he does have One For All. If he can move that fast, he has his body built that much, and he can increase his body and really make his body a hell of a lot stronger than it already is, just imagine what feats he could accomplish. This man might be able to hold his breath for ridiculous periods of time. And I mean, if this man can move as fast as All Might in his prime, prime. Or no, let's not even say that. Let's just say this man can move as fast as All Might not in his prime. Like, you know, the final stages of All Might's career as a hero. Let's say he can move as fast as that, okay? He can get to, like, All for One in 20 to 30 seconds. That is still insane. For holding your breath for 30 seconds, someone that's probably been training to try to use their ability a hell of a lot more, most likely 30 seconds is a breeze for this man. So in 30 seconds, being able to use your Quirk ability, phase through things, and go that fast, you cannot even begin to imagine how OP this man would be. And so, if this man ever did receive that Quirk ability, just imagine how insane he was. Because right now, All Might's ability have how strong he was, and what we saw him do against the Nomus in the earlier stages of Boku no Hero Academia, but then up against All for One, that was insane feats we saw. And when you throw that on top of someone that's able to phase through anything, this man's pretty much fucking invincible. Like, he's pretty much invincible. So yeah, that's just an interesting thing I want to discuss. How would you all feel if, you know, Togata received One for All? I mean, how would you all feel about that? How ridiculous do you think this man would be? I mean, if we factor in all of the feats of All Might and how he's not even in his prime, he was doing crazy stuff like that, how strong would this character be that's already built up his body, probably way beyond what Izuku has done? How crazy would he be? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below, and tell me, do you think, if that was to ever happen, do you think this man would be one of the most OP characters of the series? I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.